When you're talking about the carrying trade in Star Citizen, moving commodities from one location to another, there's one ship that automatically springs to people's minds, and they go, this is the dominant platform in Star Citizen. This is the apex predator in this field for the time being. That is about to change, with the arrival of the Hercules and its variants. Potentially, there is going to be a new big kid on the block. Now, there are going to be certain limitations and certain issues that some of the ships have to deal with. Maybe certain landing sites are going to be easier for some, but not easier for others. We'll wait and see how all that shakes out. But finally in Star Citizen, we will have a competitor for this ship here, the Caterpillar. Now, there are, of course, other ships that could be construed as a competitor. I mean, depending on the volume and the value of your cargo, there are other ships out there that can compete. And once the economy is fully fleshed out, the field is going to open up a lot more for a lot of these kind of medium-sized haulers. But strangely enough, the Caterpillar was meant to have competition since day one, and since the arrival of the Caterpillar, it has had a competitor, a direct competitor. The problem is that unfortunately, that competitor, nobody really thinks of that ship anymore. Oddly enough, this ship, when viewed from when you look at certain aspects of this ship, it's actually a really good cargo runner. It could actually be super, super solid, and it's resilient as hell. It's decently armed. It has a lot going for it. There's a lot of great things going for it, but the one thing that it doesn't have kind of, pulling for it and trying to make sure that it succeeds is CIG. And to be perfectly honest, I think that one of the big reasons why CIG has kind of left this ship and forgotten about it is because it's embarrassing. Now, you might be wondering, what is this miracle ship, Minion? What is this great ship that, is apparently here, but nobody ever flies? I never see this ship. And the truth is you probably have been interacting with this ship since 2.0. But you keep forgetting it's a ship. And I'm talking about the Starfarer. The ship that ended up becoming a mission site for most of us. And really, you just never see in the universe anymore. This ship, in a weird way, this is what it has become. Now, this isn't an original 2.0 screenshot. I was looking for one, but I couldn't find one while I was making the video. So this is a more recent one. You can tell by the hawk down below. But this is how most players interact with the Starfarer. In a weird way, this has become kind of a metaphor for the state of the Starfarer. Now, oftentimes on this channel, we talk about dead ships, and we bring up two very prominent examples, the Reclaimer and the Herald. These are two ships whose primary function in the Star Citizen universe hasn't been implemented yet. Neither of these two ships can really do anything except go from A to B and occasionally ram a hammerhead to death. They really serve no other purpose in the game currently, and it doesn't look like either one of those things is on the horizon anytime soon. And so this has kind of hamstrung these ships and made them kind of curiosities. When you do run into them in Star Citizen, they're kind of like, oh yeah, that ship still exists. Too bad it doesn't work. The Starfarer is something that you really see even less. And the truth is I can't remember ever seeing a Starfarer that wasn't a mission objective in Star Citizen since 3.0. You don't see them ever. Whereas, a ship like the Caterpillar, I mean, it has kind of a similar problem to what the Starfarer has. The Caterpillar, it has all these cargo pods, all these cargo modules through the length of the ship. and these are supposed to be interchangeable with different modules. However, that functionality has never been implemented into the game, but that has not hamstrung the Caterpillar because the core module that it came with is the cargo module. With the Starfarer, that's a different story. With the Starfarer, it came into the game back in the 2.0 series of patches, and it only came with the fuel pods, but refueling has never made it into the game, except at landing sites. So the Starfarer really hasn't served a purpose. Now, the nature of quantum fuel and where you get it from and how you mine it and all of that has changed since the inception of the Starfarer. And this was originally one of its core roles as a kind of like a fleet tanker. And a lot of people bought the Starfarer based off of that. But they also bought the Starfarer because one of its modules that it was going to come with, and one of the things that CIG was very quick to promote about this ship, is that it also could come with cargo modules. Now, the images that we have of the Starfarer's cargo modules, as you can see right here, these are 5 years old. I think these go all the way back to 2015, possibly even 2014, when CIG originally kind of dropped the Gemini on us, which is the more militarized, heavy-duty, heavily armored variant of the Starfarer. Unfortunately, the cargo modules, like, those are what would keep the Starfarer competitive with the Caterpillar, but they've never materialized. They've never been put in the game. And to be perfectly honest, I don't think many people would mind in the Star Citizen universe right now if CIG just said, look, visually, we're just showing you the fuel pods for now. This is something that we're going to get into later, but for right now, we can all just suspend disbelief and store cargo in the fuel pods. And I think many players would just kind of go like, okay, we'll let it slide, just to have a little bit more variety in the Star Citizen universe. One of the big problems in video games is the idea of perception. When an idea that something is worse than something else in a video game, and it doesn't matter, any MMO that you think of, where players play together, and it's more of an MMO problem than anything else, because in single player games, yeah, you can be exposed to, oh yeah, this warrior build is better than that warrior build, or, you know, this ship or this gun or whatever is better than that. And people will tell you different, but you can work on your own and you can make things work. But when you're playing in a group or you're playing with other people, sometimes you can be removed or you can be kicked out for using something that is perceived to be weaker. Even when the difference is maybe only a few percents, it's still enough for people to run into a lot of difficulty. Perception is a real tough nut to crack. It really, really is. Now, the danger that Star Citizen kind of runs into is the idea that, oh, well, you know, we'll get to it when we get to it. But the problem is that if you look in the Star Citizen universe right now, you never see the Starfarer unless it's a mission site. You never, or an objective, you never see it. It has to be kind of inserted in for you to see it, because nobody really owns it, because nobody really flies it. And, well, I mean, some people do still own it, but nobody really flies it because there's just no point, because it's so much further behind the Caterpillar. But there's a lot of core great things about the Starfarer. I mean, yeah, its interior is just a dog's breakfast. And I mean, everybody knows it. CIG and the creator of the ship itself, his name escapes me at the moment, but they have all publicly made fun of this ship. And just, you know, just when they talk about it, you can see them just like, yeah, we really screwed up there. But when you look, especially at the Gemini, there's a lot of strength in the Gemini. There's a lot of decent defensive combat power in the Gemini that could make it, you know, kind of an intimidating target to try and take down for a smaller sized pirate crew. There's a lot of value in a ship like that, and especially if it had its full cargo capacity unleashed. Even if it was just like, you know what, we're just going to suspend disbelief and make the cargo pods, or make the fuel pods cargo pods, I think a lot of people would just kind of let that slide, and we would have that competitor out there, and things would be a little bit more varied in the Star Citizen universe. Because right now, for a lot of people, the perception of the Starfarer is that it's crap. It's a garbage ship. And I don't think that the neglect that CIG is kind of showing towards the ship is benefiting the community or benefiting CIG. And I mean, to be perfectly honest, what I'm suggesting is just a quick fix. It's just a quick kind of like, just get this thing going so you can get it on the road and get moving again. It's not intended to be a permanent fix, but I think that with the Starfarer, it has become such a thorn in CIG's side, and such a it's just one of those cringy moments that you think back on, like something you did when you were a kid and you're like, oh my God, what was I thinking? It's one of those things, I think, that whenever CIG looks at it, I think that they kind of look at the Starfarer and they're like, you know what, we just got to do a page 1 rewrite on this thing. And I don't think that that's entirely necessary. Yeah, the interior does need to be fixed, and yeah, there are issues there, but I think that you could overcome a lot of community perception problems by kind of fixing the cargo issue right away. Doing, kind of going ahead and turning the fuel pods into cargo pods and saying, we'll fix that down the road. The Starfarer right now, it doesn't show well, right? Because a lot of its strengths in the eyes of the community really just aren't things that you're going to run into every day. Like, let's take the Gemini specifically, the militarized variant of the Starfarer, which kind of sheds a few things, including its ability to scoop quantum fuel, to put in a missile pod in the nose. That armament and that armor really isn't going to come into play in the Star Citizen universe right now, or it's going to come into play very, very rarely, right? It's not something that you're overly concerned about right now. If you're hauling cargo, your biggest concern is how much money can I make on a quick turnaround? And the Starfarer isn't really something that you're going to think about all that much. But in the future, when that armament becomes much more relevant, and when that armor becomes much more relevant, you're going to start thinking like, oh, okay, now I'm kind of starting to see the value in it. If you can imagine right now, if we had, people pursuing you and chasing you down while you're hauling cargo, all of a sudden you're looking at those turrets in a different way. You're looking at that armor, those missiles, those guns, all of that in a much different light. And you're seeing the value of that ship. Like, if we could put it into the game right now with the cargo pods intact, I think you would actually start to see Starfarers kind of coming out to play. And it would actually, I think it would be better for the game entirely. I mean, that there is variety out there, because I'm a Drake fan, so yay, my ship is number 1 right now. Woohoo. But I want to see more variety out there in the Star Citizen universe. And, I'm certainly one of those people who's always going to say, the Caterpillar is a great ship. It is a great ship. There are some issues with it. There is some functionality that it's missing. But at its heart, for the game that Star Citizen is right now, the Caterpillar is great. The Starfarer could be a great ship too. Or it could be a good ship at the very least. Because there's a lot of good things there. I mean, the interior, yeah, okay. But there are a lot of good things in the Starfarer that could be brought to bear, especially in future iterations of Star Citizen. It needs a little love right now. It just needs a little nudge. And I understand why CIG is so reluctant to kind of get involved in anything like that, because they're probably very embarrassed about the ship, and they probably would kind of go like, let's just do a page 1 rewrite. But the truth of the matter is that the interior is a rewrite. It is a complete rework. But the core things that you need to get into, like the bridge and the cargo bay and getting in and out of the ship, aren't all that brutal. They aren't all that tough to deal with. I think that fixing the fuel pods and making them into cargo pods for right now, even without changing them visually on the exterior, would do a lot to kind of promote the ship and make the owners of the ship, those are the people that have held onto the ship for so long, it would be like a reward for them, you know, instead of them looking and just saying like, I've had the ship in my hangar for so long and it's still dead and useless. I think that there's a lot of benefit to that. A military, especially in the case of the Gemini, a military cargo hauler, you know, something with that kind of resilience and those kinds of weapons definitely has a place in the Star Citizen universe in the future. And I feel that it's not too much to ask to just kind of make this little tweak and say, you know what, yeah, at some point we are going to do the cargo pods, we are going to redo the interior, but for right now, we're going to make the fuel pods into cargo pods and then just say, you know what, here you go. Your ship actually is worth something. I would love, absolutely love, that in the near future, I can say with all honesty that since 3.0, I have actually seen a player flying a Starfarer in Star Citizen. I would love to actually be able to say that, considering the ship has been flyable for what? Going on since what, 2016 is when it got into 2.0, somewhere in and around there? Since like 4 years? It's been 4 years since I've seen somebody flying this ship in the persistent universe. I would love to see it again.
Thank you for watching. So if you want to keep up with the latest and greatest in Star Citizen and Squadron 42's development, please follow us on our social media channels. See you soon.